Does warming up before a run actually prevent injuries, or is it a waste of 15 minutes you could just spend running? What's even the purpose of a warm-up? In this video, we'll be going over the what, the how, and the why of warming up before a run and whether it actually matters for injury prevention. First, let's define what a warm-up actually is. A warm-up is basically any preparation you do before exercise to prime your body for movement. Warming up can include passive stretching, dynamic movements, plyometrics, and any sport-specific task. So what's actually happening inside your body when you warm up? When you start moving, your body releases stored energy molecules in the form of heat. That chemical reaction raises the temperature of your core and tissues. At the same time, your blood vessels dilate, which speeds up the delivery of oxygen and fuel throughout your body. The result of these actions allows your muscles to produce more energy and your muscle fibers to contract and relax more quickly. Warming up gives your muscles more fuel available faster and allows them to generate force more efficiently, which has an overall positive impact on your running performance. So how should you warm up before a run? Traditionally, running warm-ups focus more on passive stretching, and you'll still see plenty of people stretching their calves, quads, and hamstrings before a run. This is how we warmed up when I did cross country years ago, but current evidence suggests that it may not be the best idea. A 2021 article from Konrad et al. Recommended dynamic stretching, but not static stretching, to increase running performance. And in a 2021 systematic review by Ullman et al., they concluded that static stretching may be best suited for post-activity recovery rather than as a part of a dynamic warm-up. They also noted the potential for static stretching to decrease performance measures, including counter movement and drop jumps, as well as sprinting. That journal article was co-written by Matt Klein from Doctors of Running. Definitely check them out if you haven't already. They're also physical therapists, and they have so much good running-related content, especially when it comes to shoe reviews. I'll link them in the description below. The foundation of a solid warm-up routine should reflect the demands of the activity. For runners, that means focusing on dynamic movements of the trunk, hips, knee, foot and ankle, and, well, some running itself. Here's an example of a general pre-run warm-up. Start with an easy jog at a low intensity for around 5 minutes. This starts raising your body temperature and begins the mental shift into running mode. Next, I'll work from larger muscle groups down to smaller. Hips first, then knees, then foot and ankle. Try 10 leg swings out to the side on each leg, then 10 kickbacks with a little ground contact to emphasize hip extension in the running gait cycle after toe off. Then, over a short distance of about 15 feet, perform lunges plus trunk rotation each way, butt kicks, high knees, Frankensteins, toe walks, and then heel walks. Simple enough. The whole thing takes less than 10 or 15 minutes, and with each movement, you can start with a smaller range and slower speed, and then gradually increase both of those as you go along. Okay, great. So ditch the static stretching, focus on a dynamic warm-up before a run to prime my body for movement, and I'll never get injured, right? Well, not quite. There is some evidence out there that a dynamic warm-up may reduce the incidence or rate of injuries. But the relationship between dynamic warm-ups and injury reduction is a hard thing to study. However, there's no evidence that it causes any harm, so there's no reason not to incorporate warm-ups into your routine. Remember that injuries can be complex in nature and are often the result of many things rather than just one, so incorporating a dynamic warm-up is one good habit among many that may help you reduce your risk of injury. There's also solid evidence to support a relationship between a dynamic warm-up and performance benefits for athletes. Now, what I do think that running warm-ups are genuinely valuable for, and this is something that I emphasize with the injured runners that I work with, is injury management during rehab and return to running after an injury. If you're coming back from a knee issue or a hamstring strain or Achilles tendinopathy, a warm-up before your run gives you a low-stakes window to check in with your body before you commit to the full intensity of your training session. As you warm up, does an old or current injury feel a bit cranky? That's useful information. Maybe you dial back the intensity or duration during your run that day. That's physically meaningful and psychologically reassuring. It builds confidence and trust in your body before you run. Speaking of that, the mental side of a warm-up is really, really important to serve as the transition from your daily life into a running mindset. Before you run, you might be rolling right out of bed in the morning or leaving your work desk. A warm-up eases that mental gear shift rather than forcing it. This mental shift is more important for higher intensity efforts like tempo runs or intervals, but it's especially crucial before a race. It may be less of a consideration for easy runs, so it's important to keep that in mind. Warming up before a run isn't magic, and it isn't a shield against injury, but it does have really well-established performance benefits and prepares your body for the demands of a run mentally and physically. Ultimately, I think it's a really, really great way for people who've had injuries to check in with their body and gauge how that's going to affect the rest of their training session. The biggest change that recreational runners can make right now is to ditch the static stretching before a run and focus more on a short dynamic routine. Let me know what you think. Do you warm up before a run? Do you feel like it makes a difference if you do? Let me know what your routine looks like. Admittedly, I rarely warmed up before a run when I was younger. I would just lace up and go. But now that I've gotten a bit older and have overcome some injuries along the way, it personally makes a massive difference for me if I get a good warm-up in before any run. And if you're looking for a specific warm-up routine based off of a past or current injury, check out my free dynamic warm-up guides on my website or in the description.